Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Complete Game, episode 77. I'm your host, Curt Schilling. He is my first son, Garrick Schilling, who's now had my first grandson, Nolan Schilling. And game one of the World Series is over. And I was 100% wrong. Will not be a Dodger 4-0 sweep.
But you were not 100% wrong, though, because your key to victory for the Blue Jays, if they were to take one, was to get to the Dodger bullpen, which we'll get to. We got to talk about starters first, but it rang true tonight.
Yeah. Neither guy showed up tonight. It was it could have been a blow up first inning. Snell got out of it. And then, Dodgers got a run. Then two, Yesavage he was himself. I mean, he's a kid. It's his sixth, seventh big league start. So, I wasn't expecting anything. Not that's not a negative. I just didn't have any expectations. I think, the Jays were hoping to get 5 scoreless out of them, and if they got more, great. But
well, it wasn't exactly duel of the fates, It wasn't Obi-Wan versus Anakin Skywalker out there. They fought with foam swords, but Yesavage won between the two starting pitchers, and he went up against Blake Snell. So, I mean, Blake Snell, shout out to the Blue Jays who grinded him out and got him out on 100 pitches through 5 innings. I mean,
and I'm and that's the fan perspective, and I get that. But as a starting pitcher, neither guy won. Yesavage went 4 innings, so there's no win there for me.
Well,
right?
yeah, he doesn't get the win either. So I'm speaking strictly him versus Blake Snell.
Right. And I always looked at it as, unless the other guy gets his head kicked in, you can't win a game you're out of before the other guy is. But it fell apart, and it was exactly what we were talking about that fell apart. I mean, you've got a guy in Blake Snell who's got a couple Cy Youngs, but who is an erratic fastball command guy. He doesn't have command of his fastball. He throws the ball in the strike zone. He's got electric stuff. But he walked almost 100 guys a couple years ago in 180 innings. He just doesn't give up hits. There's a Nolan Ryan piece to that, right? He'll go out and go. Ryan could go 9, strike out 13, and walk 8, and only give up 3 hits. Snell needed to be much better than he was today, and he wasn't. And
3 walks, a hit by pitch, 8 hits. I mean, that's as touched up as he's gotten in all 3 of his postseason starts.
Well,
combined,
he's been unhittable his last couple starts. But I mean, the Jays threw a 9-run inning on, and you got Sheehan and Banda who go an inning combined and give up 6. And that's not the Blue Jays. You're certainly not. I don't know what you're not. That's not part of your game plan to wait for the middle guy and score 9. But they don't have the pitching in the middle of that Dodger staff to do what happened tonight. Yamamoto needs to go 7, and they need to mix and match if they have to use 3 or 4 guys or use Sasaki for 6 outs. Everybody's jumped on the Sasaki train. I'm not convinced that he's Mariano Rivera. He's their best option for sure. And you can go 3. He could come in and go 7, 8, 9. But I don't know that he's ready to do that. The challenging part about this is I have a different perspective, and that this game's over. There's no momentum, right? I mean, the Blue Jays feel good about tomorrow. The Dodgers feel pressure about tomorrow because they don't want to go home down 2-0. But there's no real momentum unless was it Gausman going tomorrow? Gausman comes out.
Yeah, Gausman.
And punches out the side in the top of the first, right? And like I said, those little things are momentum things. And that first inning, Snell gets in trouble, and even though they didn't score, there's still momentum. The Blue Jays had momentum because, okay, all right, you know what? We're fine. We're not going to get shut out tonight, or but because the saying is always, you beat a great pitcher early, you don't beat him at all. And that was
well, not in today's game where the great pitcher gets pulled 7 innings no matter what.
Well, but I'm harping on it. I'm going to go back to it. It's not that way anymore because if you're talking about beating a Maddox or a Glavin or beating me, if you didn't beat me early, you didn't beat me because my fastball command got better as the game went, and by the 5th and 6th inning, I had my stuff. I knew it. I was moving the ball to the corners of the plate. These guys are just, if you don't beat them early, you can beat them later because the only thing that changes is the velocity. They're not suddenly dotting the corners; they're just throwing hard. And I know it sounds like I'm down. I'm not trying to downplay. These guys have unbelievable stuff that I never dreamed of having. And most of them do. But Sheehan and Banda are hard throwers, but they didn't. I mean, 6 runs. What I saw tonight was that if the Dodgers don't get 7 Studley innings out of their starter, it's going to be a nightmare for them to win 4 games. Now, I don't know if the Blue Jays can answer that. I don't listen. I think one of the things that's been underplayed in this entire series and throughout is we talk about all the things, but we don't talk about the most obvious thing, which is the top of the Dodger lineup is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You've got four MVPs literally almost hitting at the top of this lineup. And don't go to sleep on Teoscar Hernandez. Like
he was their playoff MVP until literally the last game of the last round when Shohei
but you've
had
got
the best
3
performance of all
MVPs
time.
hitting 1, 2, and 3. Now, listen, Springer's an October beast. Vladdy's monstrous. Bichette coming back, he looks fine.
Yeah, he looked fine.
Which it's kind of surprising, but when you're young, a lot of times you're just too naive to get caught up in the bullshit. He just came out. Oh, it's a baseball game. I'm playing a baseball game. But tonight, now, you know what? I have no idea now. I wouldn't gamble right now because I don't have a clue what tomorrow's going to. Yamamoto could come out and throw a 1-hitter and punch out 14 guys. Don't know that that's going to happen. He's going to get every chance he can get to go 7 or 8, though. Right?
Well,
good.
Is this not the blueprint now, though? Like, no matter what, if you're a Blue Jays batter and you take your bat off your shoulders in the first 2 pitches, unless you get 2 strikes right away, aren't you an idiot? Because through
tonight was
2/3 of an inning, you had 6 runs against their relief pitching. I mean, you said it on our last episode that they have to get to the bullpen. I mean, yeah, you get to the bullpen in a 2-2 game, great. You might take a 4-2 lead. They scored 9 runs.
Yeah.
We all talked about how the Dodgers lineup is so prolific. You just said 4 MVPs at the top of it, but I mean, this Blue Jays lineup was one of the best, if not the best, all year in baseball when they were healthy.
There's a very grindy feel to the entire lineup. These guys, and that's again, you got a 2-time Cy Young winner who's been Koufax in the postseason. Took him 100 pitches to get through 5.
Yeah,
and
October baseball. It's different. Every pitch is so much more meaningful. Yeah. And guys approach every at bat like that. You talked about that last episode too. Every at bat is so precious because, and they talked about it on the broadcast tonight, George Springer was about to take his 4th at bat of the game or 3rd at bat of the game in the 4th inning if he didn't get a bogus called 3rd strike at the end of that inning. I mean, it's just what that does for a lineup, and you can talk to it more about as a starter if you're not struggling at that point like he was. It was still a 2-0 game in his favor, but guys are starting to figure something out if they're getting to that 3rd at bat, right? I mean, you know that. The good ones are, at least.
You're coming off the mound, taking a breath because you survived the inning, as opposed to walking off strutting. And that's just a completely different mentality.
Well, yeah, where you talked about you have your stuff at that point. Usually, you're after every inning instead of walking out feeling sexy.
Yep. This tonight was, Barger. God, I can't even imagine.
Addison Barger.
Yeah,
what a moment! First Grand Slam in Blue Jays World Series history. That's cool.
Yeah. That
place is loud too. I mean. You know it better than me.
Thunderingly loud. Loud. It's a top 5 decibel, Who concert loud stadium especially when it's closed. When it's closed, it is a nightmare It's a tough play. Great baseball fans. They really are good baseball fans. I mean, for Canadians. And no, but they're great baseball fans, and they show up when they play. I'm going 32 years back, right? It was a great team back then. I mean, that was the '93 Blue Jays. There's a I don't want to say there's a lot of similarities, but there is from a lineup. I mean, they had Hall of Famers all over that lineup, or potential Hall of Famers: Ricky Henderson, Paul Mulder, John Olerud, Joe Carter, blah 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 blah. But the grindy at bats, right? I mean, I shut them out in Game 5, and it took me 154 pitches to do it.
The funny part about that analogy you just made is that you guys are the Blue Jays in this World Series. The Dodgers are the team with the future Hall of Famers and yada yada and the pedigree, and these guys are sort of the ragtag group of young guys that had the dream run and won the Game 7 and have had dramatics throughout.
But it also goes to and speaks to that thing we talked about, which is that unquantifiable piece for sabermetricians, which there's apparently a really good thing going on in the clubhouse in Toronto, and there's a good thing going on both teams, right? You don't get to the World Series without great clubhouse stuff, but apparently there's a lot led by George Springer, which I don't know what the dollar value is, but it's incalculable in many cases for a guy like David Ross to the Cubs.
Ortiz was never an acquisition, but his role on those 13 and 18 World Series runs as like the older guy in the lineup.
Right. But there's something to be said for that guy who is the clubhouse drink stirrer and the beast at the plate. A lot of the guys are that the Doug Mirabellis of the world, and the story I always use is those guys that can make the team laugh when the bus is at Customs in Toronto at 4 a.m. after a Sunday night ESPN game where you just got your ass kicked. Those guys are so valuable because you can't put a finger on the hows and whys, but they're valuable. And
glue guy.
And it's a glue guy. But you see a lot of the glue guys being talked about. It's always the guys with the stats, right? Springer's again, October-wise, my God, he rises to the occasion. But a lot of the glue guys are people you just don't know. People you don't know, but you don't hear about. And Clement seems to be one of those guys for me. Like every time I see him on the bench, he's doing some dumb shit, laughing. It's funny, and he's just keeping guys going and loose, and there's the intense Duran guy who is about to break a helmet, right? The Euclid guy who takes every at bat to the hilt, and then there's the guy who's like, dude, chill out. I mean, come on. And this is the time of year where that rises to the top.
Can I give my glue guy of the game? Addison Barger, who had played in Bo Bichette's spot every game this postseason until Bo Bichette's healthy. He comes back. He comes in to pinch hit tonight for Davis Schneider. Boom, grand slam, biggest at bat of his career, no doubt.
Well,
I mean, that's glue guy shit.
Hold on.
It doesn't say anything about getting benched.
Right. Let me just tell you a quick story about why that's such a big deal and what that speaks to as far as a great team. We had,
by the way, he's hitting 324 with 1,000 OPS. He was playing the lights out through the 11 games he had played for the Blue Jays. Sorry, go ahead.
No. We had a very similar situation in a World Series team that I was on, and a veteran guy, who spent all year talking about, guys, get me to the promised land, get me to the World Series. We're your personal crusade to get you. And he wasn't really that guy, but he made just get me to the promised land. We go to the World Series and we get into Game 1, and this guy's not starting. And he shouldn't have started because the matchup was bad. I'm sitting in the trainer's room or in the clubhouse manager's office. I'm doing my pregame, going over the scouting report. Game 1 of the World Series. This guy sits in the room and looks at me and goes, "Can you believe I'm not starting tonight?" And I was like, dude, like, first of all, I'm getting ready for the game, but secondly, it's the World Series. What do you? Right, but what? I mean, this is the World Series. You said all year, get me to the promised land. I just want a team guy, rah rah. And I said, hey man, you're gonna do something. You're gonna have a chance. Sure enough, that night, this guy gets called to pinch hit with the bases loaded. Fucking pops up, and all I can think about is this dude was not ready to hit. And I say that because those are the little things. Barger clearly was ready to hit, obviously, and that there's so many little things that go into that, from your bench coach to your position. This is a guy who's been a piece of the pie here, and certainly not leading them to the World Series, but just like Todd Pratt was a key piece to our '93 team and didn't start a lot of games, Doug Mirabelli in '04 was the same way. But those guys doing their jobs, they accept the fact that they're not one of the starting 9, but it's not okay with them.
Dave Roberts.
Does that make sense? Does that make sense though? Right? You accept the fact, listen, I'm not starting, but I got to be ready to do my job. I got to be ready to steal that base against Rivera in the 9th. That's what I'm here for. And then you have other guys who are like, I can't believe I'm not playing. Like, what the, and that's what I get from this Blue Jay team. And not that the Dodgers don't have that, but the Dodgers are.
It's harder to take Shohei Ohtani out to get that guy his one at bat to see if he's got that Addison Barger 2 for 2 with a grand slam in him. You know? Well, your lineup stacked with studs.
Let me just tell you, one of the big differences in the game today, very much so for the National League, was that when you had 12 pitchers and you had 8 position players, so you had 6 bench players. All 6 of those guys were potential pinch hitters every single night of the year. So they had to be ready and all the things that go with that. When they adopted the DH, that stopped happening. A lot. You had to be. We had some guy. I can name guys: John Vanderwall, Hansen, Dave Hansen, Frank Catalanato, guys who were tremendous 10th players, because they in their minds they were everyday players. But when they got to their at bats, they made them count. And now in the World Series, you don't see a ton of pinch hitting. You do more because sabermetrics, right? They go more for matchups, and you have bullpens and guys coming out. But the Barger at bat, to me, was, there's a lot of good mojo in that Blue Jays clubhouse, and with everything that they have going on, and obviously the Dodgers do too, because they're here. And I don't want to make too much out of it, but I was just trying to say, behind the scenes, there are little things that I was watching. And I'm going to go to one other one. As a pitcher, I'm watching Lauer pitch in the 9th inning, and he goes 0-1 on a fastball, slider, curveball, breaking ball to Ohtani. Okay, it's 11-4. What are you doing? You walked him. How that's absolutely mind-boggling to me, because here's what I'm thinking as a pitcher. Hey, listen, you're up 11-4. Now, I'm not trying to, but you know what I can do? I can give Ohtani one of those pitches he's looking for, one of his sweet spot pitches. It's 11-5, he homers. What I do is I set him up to look for that pitch the rest of the series. Or I come in and I knock him on his ass. No one's thinking I'm going to do anything at 11-4, but I dust his ass off, and then I just pound him in. Just pound him. Everything I throw is hard in. So tomorrow, in his first at bat of game 2, same catcher, Kirk's going to be back there again. We start fastball in tomorrow, and now he's sitting up there thinking, oh, Jesus, I got to open up a little bit. Then he doesn't go up. Huh?
He's like, we're going to do this shit again?
Right. But what happens is he doesn't go oppo on that fastball on the outside corner, because he's giving away the inside, because in an 11-4 game, you bought your pitcher an at bat the next day.
I think you're also, you're not saying a part of that you're just taking as people understand this. There is to a 7-game series, especially in the World Series, a chess match that goes on throughout the series, regardless of whether it's the same pitcher or not. Like Kevin Gausman will benefit from what happened in Shohei Ohtani's last at bat last night, if you approach it that way.
The thing to remember is, for the most part, it's the same catcher all 7 games. So I'm pounding you in, I knock you on your ass, I'm throwing the ball in, I walk you, but the ball 4 almost hits you. Jesus. I mean, Uncle on the ball's in already. Tomorrow, first pitch, boom, in, put him on the dirt, and then not try to hit him. But you come in, Ed Gosman comes in at 95. Now his first at bat, he's given away, not given away, but you've got some outside stuff to play with. So and again, we'll use my square. If Ohtani is sitting on this side of the plate, he's hitting left-handed. My first couple, these pitches are right here tonight. I'm just pounding that fastball in, cutters in, whatever. And tomorrow I'm going to start with this pitch because now this one, instead of him going oppo on this pitch, he might hit it out the end of the bat and fly out to left. I got an at bat. I bought one. Now he's gonna maybe I can get him in with cutters the next time because we're gonna but what you do is you start creating in an 11-4 game. I was looking at all those at bats. That's what you're trying. If you command the fastball and you can move it around 6-8 inches at a time, you're setting them up for the rest of the series. Not to say they didn't do that, but that's the mentality. And I'm watching Kirk. He throws him a 2-1 curveball. It's a 7-run lead. There's two. Get the out.
You're trying to play chess with checkers pieces at that point in the game. It's
right.
much more simple and what you're saying, like your only job here is to get Shohei out. You can afford to throw him something he won't see in a closer game and make him think about these other options first at bat tomorrow. And that gives you an edge.
I'll go back and I'll tell this quick story before we close it out. In spring training in late 1990s, I'm facing Jeff Bagwell, and we're in Kissimmee, and Damian Miller's catching me, and now it had to be, it wasn't, it was Lieberthal, and I said to him before the game, and spring training was different for me in the sense that I still went through my pregame plan and I had some ideas. But I also knew, and for the most part, I never faced teams that were in my division, so I wasn't facing guys I was going to see a lot. But I did face National League teams. And I told Leby before the game, I said, listen, if we get Bagwell in a bases empty situation, let's go ahead and give him a couple cookies. Ball's middle and down. He's like, what? I said, just trust me on this. First at bat, he's up 2 outs, nobody on. He came up one of the first 2 at bats, and I threw him the cookie, and he hit a bomb, just a bomb. And Leby at the end of the inning looks at me. He's like, okay, why'd we do that? I said, because this entire year, Jeff is going to come to the plate knowing I have fastball command. He's going to wait for that pitch again, and he's never going to see it. Maddox did it during a game.
I was going to say, that's Greg Maddux, like shit that you hear him talk about now that he's retired.
He did it to
every guy was doing stuff like that.
Maddox did it to Bagwell during the regular season to set him up for the playoffs.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's the famous one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I did it in spring training for the regular season. I didn't have the balls to do it during the regular season.
That's some fucking Bill Belichick running a fake play in the 4th preseason game that ends up being the play that gets him into the AFC Championship.
But you know what that is, though, Garrett, and I talk about this with you young pitchers as well. I can do that because I'm going to throw this pitch right here, and I'm never going to throw it again because I have command of my fastball, right? I'm not going to I'm going to paint Bagwell and work him out here. Now, I'm not saying every time, but I'm not going to miss here. If I go here, I'm going here up, or I'm missing off to this side of the plate. If I go down here and miss, I miss out because I'm commanding my fastball. And so, and if you look at the numbers, I had very good numbers against Bagwell and Biggio. And I used, and against other hitters, I used spring training to set them. But all of that's a long-winded way of saying I'm watching Lauer pitch in the 9th and thinking to myself that there's a surface level of knowledge in Major League Baseball, the pitching, that isn't deep anymore. And it's so frustrating to see in pitch selection and pitch command. And it's not me saying that I'm better than these guys. These guys have better stuff than I ever had, pure stuff. But there's so little pitching going on. It's so hard and so frustrating to watch sometimes. And, it's like.
Of the 6 qualified pitchers that have over 75 plate appearance logged against Jeff Bagwell, you have the lowest batting average against by 50 points.
Yeah.
John Smoltz, Greg Maddux, Andy Bennis, Matt Morris, Tom Glavine. The lowest of those 5 is John Smoltz at 293. You are at 243. Just so that people don't think you're just talking and blowing smoke out your own ass. There's
I
stats.
faced him a lot. Yeah. But again, and it's a message you and I have talked about. And again, I hate to belabor it, but for you young pitchers, I can't. Yesavage is a great example. You give me that kid for a month of bullpens, and I'll give you a 25-game winner, because his split is like my split when I was young, and his arm angle and fastball are just the same, up top, high, downward angle. He has all the makings to be a 20-game, 235 inning, 240 inning a year stud. Not that he's not going to be, but nobody's a 240 inning a year guy. And I see that, and it's so hard for me to watch because, well, first of all, he's made 6 starts. In my day, he never would have been in the big leagues, like much less pitching game one of the World Series. God bless him. And part of it, like I said earlier, the amount of stuff he doesn't know is the reason why he was able to go out there and actually function. Because, I mean, he should have been paralyzed, which tells you a lot about.
He'll look back on this one day and have a similar viewpoint to the one you have now.
Well, here's the thing, and I pray to God he's healthy and has a great big league career. He may never pitch in a World Series again. He might have a great 15-year career and never be back.
He might not pitch in this one again.
Right. No,
that's how quick this Dodgers team could turn it around.
Right. No, that's true. But again, the Dodgers need a monster outing from Yamamoto, and a much different guy. He's a guy who commands the fastball a little bit better than everybody on that staff, and as advertised this year, and I only know that because he was on my fantasy team, so I followed him closely. But he's the guy. He could break out. I don't see anybody punching 14 Blue Jays out because they just don't strike out that much. But I'm going to be very curious to see how he approaches Guerrero tomorrow, with Bichette clearly healthy, hitting behind him.
Yeah, so. It's so crazy how much different that lineup looks now. They've done so well throughout the playoffs, you forgot almost.
Well, but the thing about it is you popped Bichette in there, and he went 1 for 2. Kirk, who was hitting behind Guerrero earlier, went 3 for 3.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you talk about that stuff too, the lineup movements. What kind of pressure that takes off of Alejandro Kirk not being the cleanup hitter all of a sudden? I mean,
well, I don't. That to me is, I think that's something that for some guys, I think it was played out right public. For other guys, I think it's hugely overblown. I think most good hitters, they don't give a shit where they
for sure. And I don't know what Kirk is like, but he might be one of those guys.
But it affects guys more than I ever thought it did. Like, guys, it's a big deal.
Well, it's also it's for Kirk in particular, being the catcher, like it could depend where you come up in the lineup a lot of the time. Like if you're throwing gear on and coming out, So no, that was an awesome game one. I mean, to make this series interesting, that's what you needed.
Let me just say that nobody in their right mind had Blue Jays +7. I mean, nobody. So good for baseball. And I'm wrong, and I'm okay being wrong, because I want a good World Series. And if the Dodgers are going to win it, God bless them. I want it to go 7, because Game 7 is I'm jealous of hockey because everything feels like Game 7 in playoff hockey, but baseball Game 7s are special. And I've been in one good one, but I want to see.
I mean, you were in the Game 7 of all Game 6s too, with the Joe Carter home run.
Yeah. What I want to see though? I'd love to see a walk-off World Series win.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I don't. That's why I didn't even want to say it, because it's like it's one of those things like it's like a no-hitter in the dugout. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
Yeah, I want to see a walk-off World Series win, and the state of bullpens,
the one that you're not on the receiving end of.
Right, exactly right. And the one with the bullpens being the way they are these days, with no Mariano Rivera, it's a legitimate possibility, because and with the hitting the way it is and the pitching the way it is, it's a legitimate possibility. So anyway, Dodgers, if Yamamoto doesn't go 7, well, no, I can't say that, because I have no idea what Gausman's going to show up tomorrow. I'll be curious to see how that works. we got us a World Series. That's the cool things. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe. You got anything you want to add, G?
No, I just
Okay.
we're dropping our interview with you're on Coach Clark and my hockey podcast tomorrow, Inside Edge, which is also posted on this channel. It's also available on Spotify if you guys want to go ahead and give that a listen. We talked for over an hour
Well,
about
if you're a hockey fan and you probably know who Connor Hellebuck is, this guy Joe Clark is one of the greatest humans I've ever known. But he's been Connor's personal guy since Connor Hellebuck was 18 years old. If that tells you how. So if you
he
know a
is
goalie,
on
if you know a hockey player, it's a
he is on
phenomenal.
Connor Hellebuck's personal goalie Jedi council. He consults him very often,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we get some very cool insight because of that, as well as we have people like my dad on, and we had Kevin Woodley, who is very connected in the hockey world as well, talks to a lot of goalies. So there's just a lot of interesting stuff on there, especially if you're a young kid and you want to know what can I do outside of my rink time, which might be limited, to get ahead. It's these little mental tricks and tips that we
Yep.
talked about with my dad for
Yeah,
over
and
an hour. So
we had
plenty
a
of stuff
blast. Had a blast talking to him. So have a great night, guys. Love you, G. We'll talk to you Sunday.
Thanks for listening, guys.
All right, buddy.